In the ashes of the fallen Qin dynasty, a farmer-turned-rebel would rise to become one of the most influential rulers in Chinese history. Liu Bang, the man who would be known as Emperor Gaozu of Han. Born into humble beginnings in 256 BCE in Pei County, his life was shaped by the hardships of rural China. As a peasant's son, Liu Bang had no formal education or military training. His early role as a village constable, a minor official tasked with local administration, allowed him a glimpse into the world of governance, but offered little promise of greatness. Yet, he stood out for his charisma, sharp wit, and a knack for building connections. He was known for his love of drinking and storytelling, but behind his seemingly carefree demeanor lay a man with an eye for opportunity. When the Qin dynasty's harsh legalist policies drove the people to rebellion, Liu Bang found his moment. In a legendary act of defiance, he abandoned his post while transporting prisoners and declared himself a rebel leader, rather than face punishment for their escape. His decision marked the beginning of his ascent. The collapse of the Qin dynasty was a storm of chaos, with countless factions vying for control. It was a time when courage, cunning, and loyalty determined survival. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Liu Bang did not rely on fear or brutality to gain power. Instead, he wielded pragmatism and empathy like weapons. He understood the value of treating people with respect, rewarding loyalty, and forgiving former enemies. This approach won him the hearts of both soldiers and civilians alike. Liu Bang's army grew as more joined his cause, inspired by his vision of a more just and stable China. He built a coalition of warriors, intellectuals, and strategists, surrounding himself with capable advisors like Zhang Liang and Xiao He, who would become instrumental in his rise. Among the powerful warlords of the time, none loomed larger than Xiang Yu. A giant of a man with a noble heritage, Xiang Yu embodied the warrior ideal, possessing unmatched physical strength and battlefield prowess. His victories against the Qin forces were legendary, and his arrogance was as formidable as his sword. Where Liu Bang was cautious and calculating, Xiang Yu was impulsive and driven by pride. Their rivalry became a gripping saga of ambition and fate, known to history as the Chu-Han contention. Xiang Yu declared himself hegemon king of Western Chu, while Liu Bang styled himself as the king of Han. The clash between these two titans was not just a contest of arms, but of leadership styles. Xiang Yu ruled through fear and brutality, executing prisoners and alienating potential allies. Liu Bang, by contrast, employed diplomacy and rewarded his supporters generously. His charm and ability to listen earned him the allegiance of many who were tired of Xiang Yu's tyranny. Time and again, Liu Bang suffered defeats, but he refused to give up, retreating only to regroup and strike again. His resilience would ultimately lead him to victory and the unification of China under the Han banner. In 202 BCE, after years of fierce battles, betrayals, and shifting allegiances, Liu Bang achieved what many had deemed impossible. In a final decisive confrontation at the Battle of Gaishia, he defeated his formidable rival, Xiang Yu. The proud warlord, realizing he was cornered and overwhelmed, chose to end his own life rather than fall into enemy hands. With Xiang Yu's death, the bloody conflict known as the Chu-Han contention came to a close. The Qin dynasty's chaotic legacy was buried, and from its ruins rose a new chapter in China's history, the Han dynasty, with Liu Bang as its founder and first emperor. He took the regnal title Gaozu, a name that would be remembered for centuries. Unlike his predecessors, who had enforced their rule through fear and draconian measures, Gaozu understood the importance of balance. He had seen firsthand the consequences of tyranny under Qin Shi Huang, whose harsh legalist policies had driven the people into rebellion. Determined not to repeat these mistakes, Gaozu embarked on a different path. He repealed many of the Qin's oppressive laws, softened punishments, and reduced taxes that had crippled the peasantry. His policies reflected a deep understanding of the burdens faced by ordinary citizens. burdens he himself had once known. By restoring confiscated lands to noble families and granting titles to his loyal generals and advisors, he secured the loyalty of both the powerful and the humble. Under his rule, China began to heal, and the people saw in their emperor a reflection of their own resilience and hope. But ruling a vast and diverse empire was no simple task. Beyond China's borders loomed the ever-present threat of the Xiongnu, fierce nomadic horsemen who raided settlements and posed a significant danger to Han security. Unlike the Qin, who had relied solely on military force to defend their northern frontier, Gaozu chose a more nuanced approach. Recognizing that endless warfare would drain the empire's resources, he combined strength with strategy. He fortified defenses while also engaging in diplomacy, negotiating peace treaties, and offering marriage alliances, where Han princesses were married to Xiongnu leaders to foster political ties. This policy, known as Heqin, brought a tenuous peace, but it also reflected the pragmatic wisdom that defined his reign. Gaozu's ability to adapt and compromise ensured the stability of his young dynasty. His reign laid the foundations for what would become one of China's most enduring and influential empires. Under his leadership, the Han Dynasty began its ascent, guided by principles of moderation, resilience, and a profound connection to the people it governed. Emperor Gaozu's genius lay in his ability to weave together contrasting philosophies, creating a balanced framework for governance that would define Chinese imperial rule for centuries. While he admired the harsh efficiency of legalism, which had brought order during the turbulent Qin dynasty, he understood its limitations. He recognized that harsh punishments and rigid control bred resentment and rebellion. To temper these extremes, Gaozu embraced Confucian ideals, principles that emphasized moral integrity, family loyalty, and benevolent leadership. Under his reign, scholars who had once been silenced found new favor, and the teachings of Confucius began to shape the moral fabric of the state. This synthesis of Confucianism and legalism became a hallmark of the Han administration. Legalist structures ensured stability and centralized authority, while Confucian values promoted harmony and ethical rule. By establishing a bureaucracy based on merit, Gaozu laid the groundwork for a civil service system that would evolve over time, selecting officials based on their knowledge and ability rather than their birthright alone. His reforms not only strengthened the state but also fostered a sense of justice and legitimacy that endeared him to his subjects. Emperor Gaozu's final days were as tumultuous as his rise to power. In 195 BCE, after securing peace with the nomadic Xiongnu through a marriage alliance, he returned to the capital, but his health had begun to decline. As illness consumed him, Gaozu reflected on his legacy. He named his young son, Liu Ying, as his successor and entrusted the future of the dynasty to his formidable wife, Empress Liu Ji. In his final moments, he remained a man of pragmatism and wit, reportedly joking about his fate, even as death approached. Gaozu passed away in the palace he had built, a commoner-turned-emperor who had reshaped China. His death marked the end of an extraordinary life, but the dynasty he founded would endure for centuries, carrying the weight of his ambition and vision. After Emperor Gaozu's death in 195 BCE, the Han dynasty faced a crucial test. His widow, Empress Liu Ji, assumed power as regent for their young son, Emperor Hui. A shrewd and determined leader, Liu Ji consolidated her authority. Her reign, however, was marked by controversy. To secure her position, she targeted the descendants of Gaozu's concubines, engaging in brutal purges that shocked the court. Despite these ruthless measures, Liu Ji maintained the stability of the empire, preserving the reforms her husband had set in place. When Liu Ji died in 180 BCE, the Han nobility acted swiftly to purge her family's influence from court. They restored the Liu bloodline to power, placing Gaozu's grandson, Liu Heng, on the throne as Emperor I. His reign, marked by frugality and wise governance, brought peace and prosperity to the empire. The policies of Emperor I and his successor, Emperor Jing, strengthened the foundation Gaozu had laid. Their leadership created stability and economic growth, leading to the Pax Sinica, a golden age for China. The Han Dynasty endured because of Gaozu's legacy of resilience, reform, and balance. From humble beginnings, he had built an empire whose influence would shape Chinese civilization for centuries. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a second of our ancient history content.